Well, hello there, Old Man Kelly here, Jeff to my friends. You can call me Jeff. Well, it's a Saturday, and it's about 4 in the afternoon, and it's cold and rainy outside. I don't have a lot going on, and I happen to notice that the Stars On Demand channel has the first 5 Tremors movies, and I know the 6th one is available on Netflix. So I thought, I'm going to sacrifice myself for the good of the world today and watch all 6 Tremors movies. So I'll be back in a little bit and tell you what I thought of the first movie, and I'll be honest, I'm going to tell you I like it, but I'll comment a little more on that. I got a fresh pot of coffee to keep me company, and I'll see you in a minute, alright? Bye. Well, I just watched Tremors and it was fantastic as always, and I won't go too much into the plot, but quickly, it's about a small town of around 14 people called Perfection. They get terrorized by an underground monster. Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon are 2 handymen who want to leave the town, but they end up fighting the monster with the help of their survivalist friends played by Michael Gross and Reba McEntire. The whole cast in this movie is fantastic. Michael Gross overcomes my memory of him on Family Ties, and I no longer think of him as Michael J. Fox's dad, but I think of him as Bert, which is great. Reba McEntire, it was her first film as an actor, and she's wonderful. Finn Carter is great as the seismologist, but they kill off Victor Wong way too early, and that was Egg Shen, for God's sake. But Ron Underwood directed a wonderful film written by S.S. Wilson and Brett Maddock, and it's a comedy with a horror edge, but there's a fine balance between the two that works perfectly. On a Tremor scale, I give the original a complete 5 stars because we're judging all movies against this one. It's wonderful. Some call it a guilty pleasure, but I say there should be no guilt in loving this film. Now on to Tremors II Aftershock. I'll be back in 97 minutes. Actually, make it 100 minutes because I have to feed the cat. Well, it's about 7:30. I just finished watching Tremors II Aftershock, and the only 2 actors from the original to come back for this one were Fred Ward and Michael Gross. I'm assuming there wasn't enough money for Kevin Bacon. This time, Ward is partnered with Chris Gartland, who convinces him to go to Mexico to kill graboids for money. They have trouble along the way, so they call Bert in to help. Now, Bert's just been recently separated from Reba McEntire. I'm assuming that was because they couldn't get her back either. The twist to this movie is now there's new graboid-like creatures, but these things can walk. Now, the beautiful Helen Shraver is the only other main cast member. She becomes Ward's love interest, and she does really well in this movie. I enjoyed watching her. The same team who wrote the original wrote this one, and one of the writers, S.S. Wilson, is now the director, and he does a very good job of it. Of course, it wasn't as good as the original. I didn't expect it would be. Ward and Gartland's chemistry isn't as strong as it is with Bacon, but it's a surprisingly very enjoyable film. So on my Tremors scale, I'm going to be very generous and give it 4.5 stars. Not as strong as Tremors, but worth watching. Now to Tremors III, Back to Perfection. I'll be back in 104 minutes. Now, a major change in my movie watching. I've gone from drinking coffee to drinking beer. This is zombie dust and it's very tasty. But as far as Tremors 3 goes, which I've just watched, Fred Ward is now gone, so it's the Michael Gross show. That's not a bad thing. I like the character of Bert Gummer, and he's pretty good in this film. As the title indicates, we go back to perfection, and some of the original characters re-emerge, such as Ariana Richards, that's the little girl on the pogo stick from the first movie, Charlotte Stewart, who played her mother, and Melvin is back. Like the last film, this one has a twist. Now there are flying creatures. And because they use gas that comes out of their butt that gets ignited to fly, they're called ass blasters. Now there's a couple problems with this. The ass blasters don't show up till over an hour into the film. And they're done in CGI, and bad CGI. In fact, there's a lot of bad CGI in this movie. The plot is a little muddled and the end is very weak, but still I enjoyed it. There was enough humor there to keep me interested. On a Tremor scale, I gotta give it a 3.5. Yeah, I hope the future movies don't keep sliding downhill like this or it's gonna get ugly quick. But now I'm on to Tremors IV, The Legend Begins. I'll be back in 101 minutes. It is now about 7:30 in the AM. It's Sunday. That's right, in the middle of Tremors IV, The Legend Begins, I went to bed. I had to, I was falling asleep. So, in this latest adventure, we go back to 1889. That's when the Graboids apparently made their first appearance. Michael Gross plays his own great-grandfather named Hiram Gummer, and for some reason the town is called Rejection. Why? I don't know. But spoilers, by the end of the film it'll be called Perfection. This is just a dull film. It even had Billy Drago in it, and I love Billy Drago, but he couldn't save this film from being dull. It doesn't seem to have the humor of the first 3 films, and I never like it when an actor in a prequel plays his own relative. It just doesn't work. I get it. The filmmakers, Brett Maddock, S.S. Wilson, and Nancy Roberts, probably wanted to do something different, and it gave Michael Gross a chance to play a different sort of character. And they probably thought, we had the Graboids walk in the second one and fly in the third one. What can we do for the fourth one? We can't come up with any ideas. Let's go back to the Old West and do an adventure there, but it just doesn't work. So on my Tremor scale, I'm going to give this 2 out of 5 stars. And pray that Tremors 5 Bloodline gets better. That's what I'm going to watch next. Well, it's about 9:15 in the AM and I just finished watching Tremors 5 Bloodline. Now this film represents a huge change to the franchise. It came 11 years after the last Tremors film, and Stampede Entertainment, S.S. Wilson, and Brett Maddock had nothing to do with it. As our film opens, Brett Gummer has his own survivalist TV series, similar to Survivor Man. He gets hired to travel to South Africa because they're having their own ass blaster graboid problem. It also stars Jamie Kennedy as Travis B. Welker, who plays his cameraman, his partner, and, spoiler alert, his son. Now, the first thing I noticed about this film is that the monsters look a lot better than the last couple films. That's probably because CGI is getting a lot better. This film brings some excitement and, well, some danger back to the franchise, though I don't need Kennedy doing a bad Bruce Willis imitation. I actually enjoyed this one a lot more than I thought I would. The silliness and the humor of the previous films are toned down, replaced by, well, a good story, good characters, and jeopardy. You feel the characters are in jeopardy. It's a different tone than the previous films. So on my scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to give this 4 stars. And now I'm interested in seeing Tremors: A Cold Day in Hell, which I'll begin right now. So it's a little after 11 a.m. and I just finished watching Tremors: A Cold Day in Hell, the last film in this franchise. No number on this one. This time the trouble's in Canadians' Nunavut territory. Actually, it was filmed in South Africa, which accounts for the lack of snow. The big change to this film is that Bert is wearing a Chicago Cubs hat. You see, Michael Gross is from Chicago and the Cubbies had just won the World Series, so I assume it was his idea. In the film, his character is plagued by bad dreams, which was apparently due to a graboid parasite. The first thing that came to mind while I watched this movie is that Bert's old man grumpiness is getting a little old. I think it was a little overdone in this movie. They bring Jamie Kennedy back, but to be honest, I would have rather had them bring Pearl Thuzy back from the last movie. I thought she would have been a good complement to Bert, but what do I know? The film has a new character, Valerie McKee. She's a graboid expert that's supposed to be the daughter of Valentine and Rhoda from the first film. I thought this film was weaker than the last, though I did enjoy it. The characters didn't seem as fun and developed as in the last movie, but it's worth a watch, yes. On my Tremor scale, I'm going to give it 3 stars. Well, that wraps up the Tremor films. I watched them all. Though I know I didn't do the TV series, but that would be a different video for a different day. I might do that. I've read that there might be a 7th film in the works, and I've also read that there's some TV series that's being done with Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward reprising their characters, but I'll believe that when I see it. I hope you enjoy listening to my review of every film of this franchise, and I'll be back sometime soon. I wonder what franchise I should watch next.